Hello, hello. Can you hear me out there? Hello. Welcome. My name is Maya, and this is greenARTS, and this is the Completionist series. So this series is about, if you don't know, about finishing up student projects that were left behind. I've been collecting them over the last 4 or 5 years in a bin, and I just couldn't bring myself to throw them out. So here we are completing these projects, and that's the series. Once I finish these projects, then we'll be moving into some of my own ideas. But right now, we're just going to complete these projects and see where it takes us. How's the sound out there? Are we hearing me okay? Here's some of the stuff that we've been working on. And I had a little bit of connectivity problem last week. So the projects that we started, we weren't able to finish. But here are some of the very cute pieces that we've already finished so far. Oh, one of my favorites. Just amazing stuff started by my students, and then I came in and finished them up. We have a whole bunch of them, all unique pieces, no doubles. And they'll be available on my Etsy store soon. So check it out if you're interested in any of those. And now, this is what we finished last week. Absolutely adorable. We went ahead and matched the stitching to the little colored stripes on the top of the cat. And then we did end up putting some rice in the body to make it much more of a tactile experience. I'm going to put that one aside though in this box. And we're going to move over to this guy. How are we doing on the sound? Can everyone hear me okay? Oops. As you can see, I was pulling some buttons, trying to figure out what we were going to do with this piece. Let's see here. So this is where we left off last week, and I'm thinking that we want to put some little eyes on this guy, maybe on the side of his head. And I thought maybe we could do some designs on the body, maybe, or maybe a little butterfly landed on his nose. I don't know. Let's zoom this in a little bit. We can get closer. Well, since I haven't heard anything, I suppose you guys can hear me okay. So that's good. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and put these eyes on. And when I am putting on these eyes, I have to use a needle that has a very small eye on it. Whereas most of my, I don't know if you can see that, most of my embroidery threads, it's not gonna focus. All right. Well, we have a very fine needle and we have a very big needle. And the fine needle is what we're gonna need to get through the holes in my buttons. Okay, so let's pull some thread. I'm going to put it on with some red thread. I'm going to wrap the thread around my finger like this, and roll it off the tip of my finger to get it all spinny. And then I just pull on all the tangled stuff, and it gives me a knot at the end. I'm going to give myself a fresh cut. And the way I thread needle is I pinch the thread in between my two fingers, and then I blossom my fingertips, which means pushing them out, and I push the thread right into the eye of the needle. All right. I've got my knot on the long end. I have an eyeball here ready to be put on. I think it's going to be back there, as opposed to like up here. Oh, actually, let's see. Where do the eyes look best? Maybe they do look better up there. Yeah, I'm going to put it up here. All right. Holding the button on very tightly with my thumbnail, I'm going to push up from behind. And I'm just going to keep on pushing until I actually get through the eye of the needle. I mean, through the hole of the button. That's what's so important about having your thumb kind of mark the spot where you want to go in with your thread, because after a while, it doesn't happen every time, but after a while, your hand below will know exactly where to come up in your project. So there we go. We got one little eye. We're going to put on this other little eye right over here. That already looks cute. Again, holding the button down with my with my thumb, going through the buttonhole. It's always good to do at least 2, I don't know what you call stitches through the eye, through any button. 2 or more. I usually do 3, just to be on the safe side, because you don't want the buttons to be wiggly, right? So here they are. I've tied them on there, and now I'm just going to go underneath this stitch, and I'm going to make a knot, going under the stitch, creating a loop, and then I go through that loop. Again, always doing it twice to secure the thread on the back. And now I can cut that thread. So, oh, I see that the student actually didn't finish that part. Let's see if I can pull that out. I think I'm going to go ahead and just see how it's not finished. I'm going to go ahead and just see if I can't finish that with this thread that is already existing. Sorry about that. I don't really have like a mute button. I mean, I do, but I just don't know how to activate it so quickly and efficiently. All right, so we're just going to take this thread that was already on the back of the project, and we're just going to continue these stitches down his little arm. I actually hadn't realized that the student hadn't finished this, sewing it into place. How's the music? Is the music a little loud? I think I might turn it down just a touch because it's loud in my ears. Just like a little smidgy. That song just finished, so let me know when the next song starts. Oh, come on. All right. Yeah, that's a better volume. I hope everybody's weekend was nice. The weather was amazing. Okay, I say maybe 3 stitches more on this side. of his head. And then we can tie off. We won't have a lot of thread to tie off, but I'll manage. All right, so there we go. I did those stitches. We're gonna flip it to the back. I'm gonna go underneath the nearest stitch, pulling it through. Now because our thread is so short, I have to be careful. And this is our loop, which I had to open up a little bit because the thread was short and it was closing out. So that's one knot. Now I want to go one more time. Sorry if this is hard to see. The thread wants to fall out of the needle and I will not let it. Here we go. Okay, that's a good knot. And cutting the thread. Very good. So now we have, let's see what's going on with this. That's just a little loose thread. So now we have this cute little guy, and I'm wondering, should we put some patterns on him? Is there anyone out in chat that has a preference? We could do some zigzags on the body. I'm wondering, I probably should have done a little bit of research. But let me just do a quick little Google search to see if possibly yellow lizard, let's see, yellow lizard with stripes. Stripes or markings. No, not really. Not that I can see. None that jump out at me. So I was thinking, when I see this, it kind of reminds me of the Southwestern designs. So I was kind of feeling like I wanted to put maybe some design across his tail, like maybe like one right here, maybe one here and here, and then maybe a couple on his body. So let's see, the colors that might look nice would be orange. Let's see, maybe some red to kind of match the eyes. We could go a little bit a blue. I don't know. Maybe the blue doesn't really gel with that. But I was thinking of doing like a crisscross pattern, possibly something like that. What do you think? A zigzag pattern, possibly with the red. So let me just give it a try and see how it looks. I am going to use this thread full strength, which means all 6 strands. I will squeeze it in between my fingers. You see that? I will lay the eye of my needle. Then I will blossom my fingertips out, pushing the thread into the eye of the needle. Okay, so just some zigzags, I think, will be cool. Maybe we'll do a couple of zigzags in a couple of different colors. Really simple, not very big. We're going to use the back stitch for this. So if you think like of a circus drum that maybe an animal would stand on top of, and they have kind of like the triangle on the edge of the barrel, well, this will kind of be like that pattern. Let's see how it goes. And we can consider it kind of like markings to scare off predators. Just create a little story in our head about it. Why not? And it looks good. Maybe we'll do like a red-orange pattern. So red zigzag and then an orange zigzag. So here's the first zigzag. I like it. Yeah. See how it automatically just makes it look so much more graphic. Actually, it kind of looks like two eyes and a mouth right now. But when I'm done, it won't, okay? Okay, hold on one moment. Let me just get a little bit of sip of coffee. Okay, I'm glad that we started that because I think that looks super cute. And we might even do like an orange stripe right behind it. So I'm going to be tying this off after every zigzag because there's going to be probably an inch, if not more, space in between the zigzags. So we will have to tie them off and isolate them just in case we make a mistake and then we don't have to pull out all the thread. Yeah? So there's one. I'm thinking, let's just visualize where these stripes will go. So that one there, I think one right basically at the armpit, and then maybe one just before the lower legs start. Right, we're going to kind of do a pattern here, and then I was going to try to fit 3 onto the tail. So one there, and then if we change the direction, we'll put one there, and then the last one will be across the bottom of the tail. It's going to look very graphic when we're done, which is going to be amazing. And it'll really remind you of that Southwestern art thing. Anyway, so let's continue. This time I think I'm going to start on the bottom and go up. Just like that. I'm going to take that pin out so I'm not having to deal with the thread getting stuck on the pin. And just trying to visually see my line going across. Trying to keep every little zigzag in the same size and way, as in like the angle of the pitch of the angle, which I can see I'm not doing very well right here. Let's see. Let's get back on track. We'll make them a little bit taller, not as wide. There we go. As with all of our handmade projects, they don't have to be perfect. The important thing is that you are enjoying yourself and creating something unique and special to you. And maybe others will find it unique and special too. All right. Here we go. Finishing that one right here. All right. So this will use up the thread pretty quickly. That's okay, I have plenty. All right. Let's see here. Get some more red. All right. All right, now we're going to start this lower one. And what I'm seeing here as I'm doing this is I'm realizing I need to just exaggerate the pitch of the zigzag a little bit. Because I think I was making them too shallow. We don't want them to be too different from the first two. And coming up a little bit to meet that other leg. I have a habit of speaking a little bit low because I kind of talk to myself a little bit, so I'm trying to remember to speak up so it doesn't sound like I'm mumbling. All right, here we go. Next to last stitch for the lower part. This guy is looking amazing already. And the more zigzags we get in the different colors, the more striking it'll be, I believe. That's my belief. All right. Here we go. Looking nice. Tying off in the back. All right. Let's see. So do one right here at the base of the tail. And I'm wondering if we just want to stay with the warm colors, or do I want to come in with like a blue inside of this, like in between the red and the orange? Just kind of thinking of a pattern that we could do. Or it could just be warm colors like the yellow and the red. I would say the orange and the red. How's that looking so far? Amazing, right? Just a little bit of graphic design or pattern can just make this really bump it up a notch. And really, when students start a project, the potential is always there for it to be amazing and awesome. It's just a matter of tapping into that vibe or energy. Hold on one moment. Let me just check something real quick. I'm just going to put that right over here. All right. A little sip of coffee, and away we go. All right, new thread. Yeah, the back stitch uses up thread very quickly, but when you're using the back stitch, it can be very striking because you can draw lines with it, letters, zigzags, patterns. So many things. Okay, so let's do it this way. And going to try to ignore the little bend in the tail and just kind of visually go straight across. Sometimes your mind sees something and it wants to, alter its course to adjust for what it sees. And sometimes you just have to turn that part of your mind off so you can just do your pattern across and not worry about bending your pattern or trying to fit the shape. Remember, when your thread's getting all crazy, you are the one with the mind, the brain in the operations. So you just have to figure it out and make it work the best you can for yourself. So I'm kind of at this end here. And I think instead of just stopping there, I kind of feel like I want to do one more stitch here. Let's see how that looks. Yes. Good. All right. It's always funny to see what a mess the back of the project is, but the front of the project, fabulous. Okay. One more. I think I could do it with the rest of this thread. So let's see, it took us 1, 2, 3 threads, full strength, to get through that design, but amazing design, right? Excellent, thank you. Okay. Here we go. Coming in here. And coming back and forth. Of course, this one will be shorter because the tail is much narrower down in this part. Excellent. That's nice, and I think I just want to make it a little bit more complete on this end by doing a little piece there. And then maybe, no, that's good. Okay. So, let's see here. I'm happy to announce I am not having any dropout problems on this stream, which is great. I hope. Did I speak too soon? I usually hear a little doot doot in my ears when I drop out and I reconnect. All right. Already this is looking 100% better. So now the question is, do we add some orange in there? Or do we come in with like a totally new color to zigzag around? What other color can we use? We could use purple. Would that be weird? It might take away from the red a little bit. I don't know. Why don't I give a couple of seconds to see if anyone in the chat has a choice? Why don't we just write in there real quick? blue, orange, or purple. Let's see. Blue, orange, or purple zigzag. All right. Let's see here. I'm going to put the question to you. Here we go. And let's see what you think. I'm going to step away just for one moment. I'll leave you here with this. Let me know what you think and go ahead and answer in the chat. Hold on. Okay. Another little sip of my coffee. Oops. Sorry about that. I muted by accident. All right. Orange. Excellent. Let's do it. I think this will be nice. Just adding a little depth to our cute little lizard. And I'm going to come down below. And I'm just going to follow that same zigzag pattern. The orange will be subtle, but it's going to give depth to this pattern, like a shadow or a highlight. The trick is to bring the stitch down low so it doesn't fall on top of the other stitch. There we go. Oh yeah, that does look nice. Now all of a sudden, with that second color on here, it looks like it's done on purpose. Let me just bring in a little bit closer. And see how I'm really overshooting. I don't know if you can see that. I'm really overshooting the bottom part of my zigzag, because if I make it too shallow, it'll go over the red. So I kind of have to almost make it seem like there's a space, but because this embroidery thread is 6 strands thick, it really fills in that space. Oh, that really looks nice. Good choice. All right, so real simple. We're just going to follow that same zigzag throughout the whole pattern. I mean, we don't even have to really think now. We're just following that same zigzag pattern. And it'll probably take us 6 strands. I'm sorry, three threads to do it. since we can get about 2 zigzags per thread. I'm going to overshoot it, just meaning going lower than I normally would. And up, right at that same point, and down in the same hole. Notice I do kind of press on my threads just to make sure they're laying correctly as we go along. Sometimes when we're working with 6 strands that are spun together, they will get a little bit squirrely on you and separate, so you kind of have to make sure that all the threads are falling in line. Okay. Oops, you know what? Too much space in between those two. I didn't care for that. So I'm going to actually pull that last thread out. I'm going to go to the back, pull that last thread out. This is the great thing about having the end of your thread loose, which is what I call the tail. I call this the tail. Because it allows you to take that last stitch out if you didn't like it. And I didn't like my last stitch, so I was able to take it out. All right. There we go. Ah, much better. Ooh, getting a little bit thick here. Sometimes when you're going through the other embroidery thread on the back, it can get a little bit tough to pull it through. Kind of like when you're doing a French knot, you have to give it like a good tug to get the thread through all the fabric and the thread below. All right. Yeah, that is so nice. Okay. So the only thing that would make this just a little bit cooler, and I'm making a lot of work for myself, but you know what? If it looks good, then it's worth the work, right? I was thinking, how can we make this a little bit more interesting? And I'm wondering if we could put like little French knots, like little spots in between the zigzags. And if we were to put the dots, what color would they be? Would they be like dark or would they be light? Like, would it be yellow? Yellow on yellow with the little dots? Or would we come in with like a darker color? Something to think about. Here we go. Coming in. Coming lower than I think I need to. And going up to the hole. So if we were to do some French knots, which would actually be pretty cool, and let me just show you what I'm talking about. If we were to put like, I don't know, maybe like French knots in these little spots. Not this color, but so they would kind of like be sitting right on the top of the zigzags a little bit. They'd be much smaller than this though. So it's an idea that we could do. You know, my mind is always wanting to do something a little bit special, and also, you know, show you more stitches. The French knot is an amazing and very versatile stitch. It doesn't seem like a stitch because it's a French knot, but you could make a row of French knots. You could write words with knots. You just put them close enough to each other. Not that that would be very practical, but you know, French knots can be eyes. They can be little snow flakes falling down in a little tableau picture. French knots can do like a gradient or a color, you know, where you would put a lot of French knots, and then as you go higher, less and less French knots. So it would be a gradient like that. Ooh, the thread's getting a little bit knotty back here. We don't have to do the French knots. I just thought it might be interesting. I probably wouldn't do it with a very dark color. Maybe we would want it to be kind of subtle. Maybe we would do it in, maybe in the yellow. Let's see here. All right. Come in between, come down. Yeah, this is looking so incredible. It's amazing what a couple of graphic type stitches can do for a project. Oops, I got a thread here. There we go. Yeah. Go into the back, come underneath the stitch, creating a loop, and going through the loop twice, and then cut. All right, one more thread for the zigzag. I don't know why I have that table so far away from me. Sorry about that. Very good. Squeezing between the fingers, pushing up into the needle. All right. Coming to the end here. Who would have thought that this lizard would turn out to look so cool when just a little yellow lizard was left behind with no details. Oop. I don't even know what I did with that stitch. That was a strange stitch. I got distracted. Sometimes when your thread's looking kind of messy at the end here, I don't know if you can see it, yes. Messy. I just give myself a fresh cut, and that makes all the threads like at the same plane, and then it makes it much easier to slide through the needle. Okay, very good. Right, now I'll stitch on this side.
Discovery Houston, press to ATO.
There we go. Amazing. Ah. So let's see. French knots, every other zigzag line in a dark color would give it dimension. So are you thinking like this line, and then this line, and then this line? Is that what you mean? I like that idea. All right. Uh-oh. I have one loose thread here. Uh-oh. What has happened to my thread on the back side here? When you're working with 6 strands, it definitely gives you more thread to manage. And sometimes your threads will kind of get out of the spun configuration with the other threads, and it will get itself loose, and then it'll want to kind of do its own thing. And you just have to stop for a moment and smooth out your threads again, and then continue on. All right. Okay, so if we were going to do a dark French knots every other zigzag, do you mean every other zigzag in the same line, or every other line of zigzags, Lisa? All right, there's that. So I'm going to draw something out real quick and then give you guys a choice. Here we go. Oh my gosh, look at that guy. He is so cute. Do we have to name him? All right. Every other zigzag, you said. Every other zigzag line in a dark color would give it dimension. So when you say every other line, are you thinking like we put some French knots on this one and then skip this zigzag and then put French knots on that one and then skip this zigzag and then put French knots on this one? Is that what you're thinking? Yes, every other line. Okay, let's do it. Okay, next choice, what color? So you said dark color, so I'm gonna think like maybe blue or purple. I could do green also. Let's see. Oh, my threads are atrocious. The green is a very matchy color. Purple, blue, or green. There's really no wrong answer. Only preference. I'm kind of looking at the drawing or at the image, and I'm feeling like the purple. And probably on the bottom part. What say you? And while I wait for the answer, I take another sip of coffee. Yeah, the purple or the blue. I agree. Not green. Let's do the... I want to say purple, but the blue is so tempting also. Let's see. If we did the purple or if we did the blue. I'm thinking, you know, I'm afraid the purple is just so like expected because of the yellow, you know, because it's the contrasting color. Decisions. I kind of want to do blue because I feel like the purple is just too expected. And, you know, I have to be contrary to what's expected. Let's see what the blue French knot looks like. And I'm going to be picking one of my smaller needles because remember, when we're doing the French knot, we have to pull all of these threads through the wrapped thread, and I'll show you what I'm saying in a moment. Okay. Thought that was funny, huh? Okay. I'm going to do it on this back side. And let's see. I'm going to do one right here. I'm not going to make it huge. So how we do the French knot is you put the thread through right where you want your knot. You're going to hold your needle right above that and grab the thread close to the fabric. And I'm only going to do 2 revolutions around my needle. You can see that. And then I'm going to slowly pull back my needle, and I want to go right back into the fabric next to the hole, but not in the same hole. And then you have to pull your thread through all of that gathered thread. So there we go. So let's do... Oh, I like this. Yeah, let's do a couple of them. I'm only going to do 2 revolutions around the needle. Oh, and I think this is going to look very striking. I just have to kind of figure out how to get the French knots to kind of hang out in the spot I want them. 1, 2, pulling back and pulling back into the fabric. Okay. Wow. Oh my gosh, I think that just bumped it up a notch. I think I want another French knot on this end to kind of balance it out. Let me know if I'm going too fast for you with the French knot. Yeah, all of a sudden it looks very royale. Yeah, thank you. It is cute. Remember what it looked like at the very beginning? Just the yellow outline of a lizard. And just with a couple of buttons for eyes and some thread colors, we have now created it to something so much more. Very regal. All right, let's bump down to here. And we're gonna go with more French knots. I'm gonna pull my French knot down just a little bit. I wanna give a little space to the zigzag. See if I can't get these right where I want them. Not perfect, but that's okay. Handmade. We're not going for perfection. We're going for making you happy by making stuff beautiful. And just general creation, which is very healing in itself. This just comes together so nicely. Going through. And then I'm going to sneak one right here, I think. Yeah, why not? All right. It's pretty awesome. Okay. So happy. Yeah, when I started this stream, I wasn't exactly sure how we were going to make this lizard epic, but I think we are quickly getting there. All right. One last thread of the blue, Okay. My nose is itchy today. With all of the heat and the rain, everything in our garden is blooming like crazy. So I feel like I have an itchy nose. All right. So let's go ahead and put some design on this guy. And then we can figure out, do we really want to just have it on every other one? Or do we want to add some, but maybe in a different color, to the other rows? I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. We only did 2 revolutions around the needle for this pattern, but if you wanted the knots to be bigger, you just do more revolutions around your needle. All right. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Now we could bedazzle this all day long. But we might be done with it and we might be ready to put the back on. Let's look at it and what say you? Amazing. I'm pretty proud of that. And I don't even think we need the dots on every zigzag. So then the question is, are we ready to put this on her backing and stuff it. And also, so I have been sewing these together with the whip stitch, but I thought on this one, I would do the running stitch about halfway in between, like halfway in between that or the green part. So what we'll have then is a little, like a little piping of the edge all the way around. That'll be flat, but the inside part will be poofed out with the stuff, with the fluff, just a different way. Yeah, the French knots really bumped this up. So I'm super happy that we did the French knots. It's really good. Okay. And then I was toying with the idea of like maybe a little butterfly landing on its nose, but we don't have to do that. I'm always coming up with the little ideas. But how about we line this up and decide on what color we are going to sew this together with. So we'll be sewing on the green. So maybe we can incorporate the purple on the green. To put the purple on top of the yellow felt too like expected, right? But if we did the purple stitch around the green, that's not as expected. And I kind of think I like that idea. But we won't do it full strength. We're gonna split 2 off. And this also falls in line with me also making sure that you guys can see the stitches when I'm sewing them, yeah? Because of the color difference. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do purple to attach it, which is gonna introduce another beautiful color. I think this, this particular project may be the most dynamic out of all of the projects that I've worked on so far. Each project is just wonderful in its own right, but some really have a place in my heart. Like I would almost consider not putting this one on Etsy because it is absolutely adorable. But I can't keep all the cute stuff for me. All right. Let's see. Oh, we are on the 1 hour mark. I just need to go to the restroom real quick, have a little drink of water, and stretch my legs. I won't be more than 5 minutes. I'll just let you hang out here. You can watch this for a moment, unless maybe I just put on my be right back. And I'm going to put me on mute, and I will be back in moments. All right, I am back. Just getting a sip of water here. Okay, here we go. So let's finish this beautiful little lizard up. I think I'm going to start here on the tail. I'm going to start my stitch on the inside so I can hide my knot. So I'm going to go in between these two pieces first and hide my knot on the inside. And then I'm just going to I'm going to make this thread just a little bit shorter so we don't get hung up on every single push pin. We want to get the stitches close enough so that our stuffing is not going to fall through. So I'm going to make the spaces in between my stitches just a little bit smaller than the actual stitch, like that. Just making sure that I pretty much stay within the center of my green border. Sometimes you can see I'm using my pinky to pull the thread through without having to really do a huge arm motion. Oop, I did a whip stitch. Silly old me. Me sewing and talking. Sometimes it doesn't go together well. There we go. I'm just letting my thread be shorter right now so I don't have to pull out so far. And sometimes my fabric isn't going to be exactly lined up. I just use my finger and my thumb to kind of move the fabric in between them and just get it lined up as best as I can. What makes a stitch really nice is its consistency. Same size, same space. I think that's kind of the sign of an experienced sewer is when the stitches are very consistent. So a lot of new students, their stitches may not be very consistent yet. It's really a matter of practice. Kind of like when you're writing letters, you know, the more you write, the better your writing gets. The more you sew, the better your stitches get. I think that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to do this series is even though I do have students, I myself am not sewing very often anymore. And my creative juices were screaming for some action. And so I thought this is going to be great. I'm going to be able to get creative, but also share my creativity with you. And hopefully you are enjoying it also. I know I am. I mean, come on. When you make stuff like this, how can you not enjoy it? So just continuing on with our purple thread all the way around. These colors are working out very nicely. The purple and the green are actually quite nice together. I like it. I'm going to go ahead and just get rid of the pins as I move through the piece. Also making sure I'm not pulling too hard on my thread so I don't get my fabric all wrinkly. All right. Coming close to the end of my thread, we'll just have to be aware, not lock up our tail, which is what I call the loose end of our thread, the tail. Make sure we got all of our little other threads and knots out of my way while I'm sewing through here. Remember, we have all of those threads on the inside that we just want to make sure that we push them away from the edge so we don't have threads peeking out our seams as we go along. Oh my goodness. I hope you didn't hear that. That was my stomach. Don't stream without eating breakfast first, people. Looking great so far. Let's see here. Coming to the end, and I'm going to want to tie off my thread soon. And the trick to tying off my thread when I'm doing the running stitch is we kind of want to hide the knot. So let's see, where can we hide our knot? Well, I can try to hide it on the back side here. Just by making a simple knot, kind of like we do on the edge. So you can see that this stitch is thicker, but that's my knot, and we didn't take it to the front, so it should look nice. I'm going to take the pin out for this moment because I want to reach inside and I want to bury this thread in our project. So I'm going to push it in. So now the thread will be inside the project and we don't have to worry about it. There we go. On to our next thread. Wow. Yeah. Even with the dotted line around the edge, it continues to just make it an incredibly graphic design. So pleasing to the eye, I think. But then I do tend to like my projects, so I might be biased. Okay. Let's see here. I think I need to give myself a fresh cut. Pinch the thread in between my fingers and blossom the thread into the needle. Very good. Okay. I'm going to slide our needle in between our pieces. to start our stitch on the inside. I do want it to be in the middle. There we go. Oops. Let me just make sure the knot is hidden inside. Go on. Okay. There we go. I'm back on track. And I'm going to go ahead and shorten my thread again, just to make it a little bit easier to stay in the frame with my hand, as it were. Coming up. Out. Making sure that my fabric is lined up on the edge. As you can see, my tail is really close, so I'm just going to loosen my grip on the needle, and I'm going to bring the tail a little bit shorter and then continue on. So the trick to holding the thread onto the needle, a lot of times when you're pulling out, people are only holding the needle, and all you need to do is just put your finger at the eye and it'll hold the needle on there. But if you don't have your finger on the eye and you pull, it'll come right off. Just experience. I do it just automatically now, putting my finger along the eye of the needle to make sure that I don't lose my thread. My thread won't fall out while I'm pulling. Okay. Coming to the edge here. It's a little bit more narrow than it was in other places. But that's how it is with handmade things. We are not cookie cutters. And just making sure the fabric is where I want it while I'm sewing. Okay. And down. Coming around the corner here. And back up. And I'm thinking at some point, probably at the end of this thread, is when I'll start stuffing the limbs and the tail. And maybe the head at that point. And you'll see the difference between doing a whip stitch around the edge, which is usually how I close things, or doing the running stitch as we are doing right now, which, as I said before, will just kind of leave a little, I want to say like a piping around the edge. So again, it will look more graphic than like a stuffed toy, as it were. Okay, coming around the corner, I still have a little bit of thread here. I'm going to continue to go down. I don't want to jinx it, but we've been so lucky today. My video has not dropped out once, and I can't say that I've done anything much different. all I did was make sure to update all of my equipment because apparently it always needs to be updated, which is fine. I really just need a checklist because sometimes I just don't know what I've done to make things work better. Okay, coming around the corner here. Gonna get this little guy over here. And yeah, we're getting to the point where we should probably tie off. Let's do a couple more stitches. Honestly, it's probably better that we had a shorter stream last week because coming up with the ideas to work on this guy kind of made me think about it over the weekend a little bit, even though I wasn't exactly sure what we were going to do. I kind of had an inkling of what we might want to do. Okay. We are coming to the end of this thread. Always wanting to leave enough thread, 2 lengths of a needle, so we can tie it off, because we need to be able to come around and turn our needle around when we're stitching. When we're making the knot, I mean. Okay. Let's go ahead and make this knot. There we go. Again, kind of how we did before. Just trying to make a really subtle knot. I don't want it to be huge. And then I'm going to slide the end of my thread onto the inside after I've done the 2 knots. And we'll just push the rest of that thread on the inside. Wow, look at that. It's turning out really cute. Yeah. So I'm thinking now would be a good time to put a little stuffing in there. Let me see if I can reach my stuffing. Yeah. Let's see, let's pull out just a wee bit. I'm going to pull out these pins so I can have access to the limbs. Notice I'm making very small pieces at first because we have to get it all the way to the tip. There we go. Just going to use a pencil to push my stuffing all the way down into the tail. And we just continue stuffing small pieces at a time into the tail. I'm feeling the stuffing feels like it is going in there with equal amount of pressure. I just like to make sure that it's all the same. I don't like to have like little air gaps. I don't know if you can see how stuffed he is right now. And see how the edge becomes flat around your stuffed part. So it kind of has that other three-dimensional quality to it. Okay, let's put some stuffing in the one leg back here. Ooh, stuffing, a smaller piece of stuffing, because see how narrow this bit is here? So we may have a little trouble pushing stuffing in that spot. Oh, I made the piece small enough so it really moved in there nicely. Yeah, it's all about just the size of your fluff when you're stuffing. make sure you're not blocking the hole with a big wad of stuffing. A lot of times kids will like ball up a big piece like this and then try to shove it into the end of the tail. And you really just need it to be little wispy bits that you slowly but surely fill in that space with. I think we can do the head too. Now when the space has a larger neck, you can kind of stuff a bigger piece in there. But like for the arm over here, I had to do a smaller piece. And this is fluffing up quite nicely. Yep. Okay. Let's continue on with the stitching around the edge. Yeah. Oops. My glasses got smudged. Okay. Let's see here. Oh, better. All right. Last piece. Oops. Not enough spins. There we go. Fresh cut. I'm trying to think. I will start here, as we usually do, pushing my knot to the interior of our project. And here we go. How's the music? Can you hear the music? Is it too loud or not loud enough? So I'm not using any pins in this moment because most of it is sewn and my fingers can kind of hold my fabric pieces in place while I sew. I don't have to worry about holding everything in place. Coming to the corner here. Oh, I can pull this in a little bit. It's always nice to get a little bit of a closer view. Also trying to make sure I stay in the middle of the green part. Lining up my pieces. Yeah, I'll do that. Turning the piece around in my hand so that it's more comfortable. Just so. And as we get to the bottom of this leg, we're going to slow down and we're going to do a little bit more stuffing. Let's get a little bit of stuffing in this front paw. Again, putting a small piece in front of the hole, and then helping that piece get down into the tip of our paw. Did we get there? Yes. More pieces, smaller. I know I want to put a bigger piece in, but my brain keeps on telling me, no, Maya, make the piece smaller because it's not going to fit if you make it a big piece. So I must heed the warning of my brain. Okay. These paws feel good. I've got a little empty spot in here. Now that we're coming to the body part, I think my pieces can be just a little bit bigger. I want to make sure that there's no real gaps in anything, like there's a gap here in the tail. So we're going to put a little bit more stuffing there. A little bit more stuffing here. We kind of want it to be stuffed, you know? I think I want to make sure that the stuffing down here is getting a little bit better here. Oop, oop, oop. A little bit in this paw here. So these limbs do look separate, but actually in reality, they're kind of attached. So it makes it a little bit trickier to stuff, but it's working. Okay. Let me get a little bit of stuffing in this paw. Okay. So as we do this part, because we have stuffing in this paw already, I just need to use my needle to kind of brush away some of that fluff from the edge. Just pushing it in with my needle and then continuing my stitches. So the one foot that doesn't feel stuffed enough is this one, and then I have a little gap here. And that makes sense because this is where our little hole is. So let's put as much stuffing as we can fit in there for now. Let's see how that works. Okay, I got stuffing in that little paw, or foot, what do you call it? I keep on calling it a paw because when I think of feet and animals, I think of paws like on a dog or a cat. Maybe just limb, this limb. It's not really a paw. Okay, my stitches are looking good. I got all the stuffing in there that I needed. Oops. Get this thread not caught. Final little squeeze. I think it'll be okay. Yeah. I think once we push that stuffing in, I just want a little bit more stuffing in that one spot because I don't want there to be like a little gap in the tail. So where it attaches to the body. Okay. All of that fluff down in there. Pulling my needle and thread tight. Getting in that corner. Poking myself. 2 more stitches, I think. Yeah. 2 more stitches. And really, when you kind of want to make sure that your beginning stitch looks good, like your ending stitch, so people can't really figure out where you started and where you ended. And here we are going to tie off on the back side, making our knot look very small and inconspicuous. 2 knots on top of each other, and then pushing the thread into the project and out someplace else. That way we're pulling our thread onto the inside. Oh, do you see how fluffy this guy is? See how it's, and then this is kind of like almost like a piping. And there it is, our little guy. Oops. Beautiful, graphic, poofy little guy. I love him. We did such a good job today. Wow. I almost don't want to work on anything else, but we have one other little guy that wants to be worked on today. And it's our little whale. Boop. This should be quick and fast forward. Really, I think all we need to do is stick an eye on him and sew him. And maybe do another little, what would you call it? Like a fin? I don't know if I have any more of that blue. I don't think I have any of that blue, but let's look at the eyes. I have this, which has all kinds of eyes in it. And I know it's a little bit crazy, but I was kind of thinking, let's see, we have some of these eyes, these doll eyes that are clear. They have like a clear rim around the black. And if we were to stick this on, it makes the eye like a little bit sparkly. It's kind of cool. So I would like to do that on both sides. Let's see, do we have a smaller eye? Oh, we do have a smaller eye. Maybe if I use the smaller eye, oh yeah, the sparkles will show around it. Okay. And also I'm wondering if I should just put the eye on one side because he's kind of a one-sided guy. So I think we're going to just do one eye. It's going to be on that side. What could I do for a fin? Because I don't have the same color fabric anywhere. So it might look a little bit strange. Let's see. And I think if we were going to do an eye on him, oops, sorry, it's going to be like all the way down there, right? It's going to be kind of like down here. And then maybe we can do like a little line of a mouth. Maybe the eye is going to be back here because he has like a big hump head. Let's try that. Let's see, I'm looking for my doll eyes. Hold on. Okay, I can't believe how quickly this hour and a half went by. Yeah, I agree, Lisa. I absolutely love it too. It's so cute. All right, what we need to do here is we need to make it a hole for our eye to go in. So these are called doll eyes, for those that don't know. And they have a safety washer on the back that keeps them in place. So I've created a hole. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. You can see the little hole in my whale head. And I want to feed on that blue. Oh wait, I wanted it to be on this side, right? Okay, it's fine. There we go. So yeah, so there's like this little stem and it has a whole bunch of ridges on it, as you can see from the light reflecting on those ridges. And what we're going to do is we are going to put a little washer on the back and lock it into place. So let's see. So here's usually the washer, and it should fit tightly around all those little ridges, and that holds it into place. So now if I went to pull the eye would not come out. Oh, look at that little eye with the cute little sparkly stuff around the edge. So I am going to cut off this pointy bit though, because that's going to get in our way when we go stuff it. So I'm just going to cut that part off. Put away my tools here. And then just attach these two pieces together, and that's it. A very simple fix. Let's see here. Let's go ahead. We're going to put them together with some blue. Pull that a little bit. There we go. Pulling two strands off. Making my knot. Now this one we will do the whip stitch because it's a tiny piece and we want to get the stuff in quick throughout. So one pin right here in the middle should do us. And I'm just going to go ahead and start sewing it together. I don't even think it needs a mouth. This is a very simple design, as opposed to the last one that we just worked on, which was much more complex and graphic. This one will just be a simple little whale. Oh my goodness, what is the problem with this? This needle is not very sharp at all, so I'm going to trade it out for a new one. It just would not push through the fabric. Sometimes that happens. We just have to adjust. Okay. Let's hope it was the needle. There we go. We're going to make our little whale. Simple little stitches. So I think I have an idea of what we'll be working on Thursday. I have a little SpongeBob SquarePants project that some students started and actually did all the detail work on it, but it just has to be assembled. So that is going to be Thursday's project. I'll bring it out just as we're finishing up to show you. Because I think that if I share with you what I'm going to be working on next, it kind of makes you maybe more interested in coming and hanging out. So there's that. Oh my goodness. And notice, small project, small stitches. It'll make it nice to let this scale be correct, because big stitches would definitely look out of place on such a tiny little whale. which is kind of an oxymoron. Tiny whale. All right, coming around to this side. Making sure I'm going through the back piece too when I'm making my stitches. And my thread is now short and I need to tie it. So I make a whip stitch, and then before my loop closes, I put my needle through the loop and I tug. We want to do that twice in the same spot. Uh-oh, my thing closed up on me. But I can just go through it. And then sliding my needle in between. I'm just gonna push my thread up and through that seam and pull it away. Okay. All right. There it is so far. Such a cute little whale. All right, sliding my needle in between, hiding my knot inside. There we go. Sometimes the knot will live very close to the edge and you just have to push it in with your needle and then let that stitch kind of hold it in place. All right, let's go ahead and sew up this cute little whale. Did we come up with a name for the lizard? Is it a lizard? Is it a gecko? Maybe if it was a gecko, the paws or the lips would be a little bit more spread out. I don't know. Oh my goodness. I hope you could not hear my stomach growling because that would be embarrassing. I'm not even really that hungry. But, oh my gosh, so adorable. Let's just stop here for a moment and get some stuffing into the tail. Because it is a small tail and it will need just a wee bit of stuffing. Okay, I'm putting that little piece of fluff right in front of the tail part. And I'm going to use the tip of my pencil to coax the stuffing down into the tip of our whale tail. All right. Yep, it's in there. My next little fluff into the spot. And let's use the pencil to push it into that little spot. Uh-oh. Hello, hello. I have a little spot here with a hole I'll have to repair. Okay. And then let's just put some of that fluff right in there. I'm gonna get some right into that tail part so it's looking right and not floppy. There we go. A little bit more fluff. It looks very dark, but the blue is a beautiful blue. It's like a midnight blue. Or a royal blue. Okay. Let's go ahead and finish this up. I'm holding it shut with my fingers. I'm pushing the fluff out of my way with my needle. Excellent. And we're just going to come around this part. I have to say this background music is so chill. I really love it. It's called the relaxed movement. Free Twitch and YouTube streaming music. So it's free of royalties, which is nice. Another thing I don't have to think about without having it be quiet in the background. All right, let's see. We are coming to our 9-minute mark of the end of our stream. And it has been an amazing stream. Ooh, I can't tell you how frustrated I was on last Thursday's stream because the stream kept on falling out and literally kicked me off. So even my video got all fragmented, so I just stopped. But today we've had no trouble at all, and I love it. That way I can just focus on these beautiful stitches. And here we go. Finishing stitch for my whale. And then push my needle through to the other side. Pull it, cut it, fluff it. Oh my gosh, look at that little guy. He's got that one big eye staring at you. He almost needs like a little spigot of water coming up out of his head. Anyway, here are 2 guys. We made them today. I'm so proud of us. We do good work together. It's an amazing 2 pieces. I can't wait to share it on Instagram and Facebook and all the places. Let me grab my water and sit here for a moment and just enjoy what we've created so far. Do a little close up on them. Boop. Nice pieces. Simple and more complex. Different style of stuffing with the running stitch that kind of creates a piping around the edge, or the whip stitch that basically just attaches the 2 pieces without making that line on the edge, the piping. Yep, looking good. So I want to thank you so much for stopping by, hanging out. It's been an amazing stream. I am loving the pieces that we made today. These 2 pieces. So cute. Anyway, this is the Completionist series. My name is Maya, and this is greenARTS. And thank you so much for stopping by. If you found this enjoyable at all, please consider subscribing, hitting that notification button, and also getting a like on this stream or video would do great wonders for the algorithms to find me. Making a comment, any kind of interaction that you have with my channel will help people find me. So it's much appreciated. So thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you on Thursday. Oh, was I going to show you what we're going to work on Thursday? Hold on. Well, for those who already left, they don't get to see. So sorry, I totally spaced it. Let me show you. Okay. Check this guy out. Somebody did so much good work on this piece. And they even did the back and the arms and the legs. We got all the things to make our SpongeBob SquarePants on Thursday. So that's going to be our project for Thursday, is putting this guy together. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Maya, and this is greenARTS. I'll see you next time. Thank you. All right, let's see.